It is time to shake it off and go get this win against the Chargers. What is up, everybody? This is Billy Truelove with Podcast 1558. I got my colleague, Mr. Matt Bird, with us today. Justin Herrera is selling suits to the people. And we are going to look forward and break down this matchup we've got coming up, Week 3, back at home at Arrowhead Stadium. We've got the Los Angeles Chargers coming to town, a noon game. Thank God. I love a nice noon kickoff at Arrowhead, baby. Matt, obviously, we're shaking off the L that we took this past Sunday. I've had my time to just really sulk in it, and went through a little phase of the season is over. Why, I don't know, but I'm over it though. I'm over it. There are good things ahead for this team. We've got a division foe coming to town that at times can be red hot. And Matt, what do you think? What's your general feel for the game this weekend?
I feel good about this one. I think anytime we get punched in the mouth, we always come back strong. And this is still a 14-15 win team, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, obviously I think it's going to be harder. It's obviously going to be harder to get to the 14 or 15 wins when you've already taken one of those L's. You can only take so many, and honestly, that was not one I was prepared to lose. There's always some games on the calendar you circle. I personally have a splitting the wins with the Chargers this year. Whether that win come at home or on the road, I'm not sure. I'm hoping it comes this weekend. But as far as what you saw this past Sunday night against Baltimore, obviously polar opposite teams that we're facing now. What are you looking forward to the Chiefs being able to do different if they want to come away with a win, really against their first opponent of the season of this type of team? Cleveland and Baltimore, very similar teams. So we've got a completely different opponent now. What do you think this team has to do to come away with a win?
I think our defense matches up well against a team like the Chargers. I think the way we're built, I just think the passing teams, the teams that are just going to throw the ball over the field, I think we are built to go up against a team like that. So I'm looking forward to see the defense take a step forward.
I'm with you. I 100% agree that this is the type of team that we prefer to go against. One that is not scared to just shoot it out with us, and let's see what happens. The problem is, these past 2 weeks, the Chargers have played against the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys. One team that we thought coming into the season was going to have an elite defense. Turns out maybe not so much in Washington. I'm not buying it anymore. And the Cowboys team, who coming into the season we all assumed didn't have a defense at all. And I'm not as confident in that being true anymore. I think they can play defense to a degree. Obviously, Cowboys coming away with a win this past week over the LA Chargers. But let's break down some of these numbers from Justin Herbert. What's going on here? Week 2, 338 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks is what he threw. In 337 week 1. So they are, like you said, they are throwing the ball around. And just as a team in total, they're getting around 100 yards a week. And that's talking about half of that is coming from Austin Eckler, who is the main threat in that backfield, he's running for 55, 57 yards a game. If the Chargers are smart, they fix that this week, and Eckler runs for $120. Or I guess I'll even say runs for 80 or 90, similar to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb didn't run for 100, but the team as a total did, and then Baltimore as a team ran for over 250 on us. So if they focus on getting that run game right against us, it could be another long weekend. And this is what me and Justin were speaking about earlier this week. If a team like this that is struggling to actually run the ball, maybe not so much because they're bad at it, just because it's not what they want to do. But if they can change their philosophy, take the ball out of Herbert's hands, and run on us, we have a fucking problem.
Yep.
Because everyone's going to do it now. Because the Chargers have no business doing it. At least that's just what the figures. That's just what the numbers say. They're just breaking 100 yards each week. And Herbert's, he's closer to 350 every week. So if they're able to have the patience and will to dial him back and really kind of poke at what we seem to struggle with, it's a smart decision on their part, and it could be a problem for the Chiefs, but we will see. Obviously, something I think you got to do to address that bleeding is move Chris Jones inside. We have yet to just let someone run at Jaron Reed and Chris Jones and see what happens. I would just like to see the outcome. I don't know what's going to happen. This team hasn't been able to stop the run for some time now, and Chris Jones has been here for a minute. So it's not like I know he isn't the answer to stopping the run, but like we've been saying all offseason, we want to see him play next to Jaron Reed. That's it. Let them play next to each other, and let them play together for an entire game. I want them to get that push. Let Frank Clark set the edge, and let whoever the hell else you want. We've got these young guys that can play outside. Whatever. We'll see what they decide to do there. That will be very interesting to see the adjustments this team makes this week. Spags has had people coming after him. You were just telling me, Tyrann Mathieu had to come to his defense. People are seeing exactly what we saw in 2018 right now. At least it's feeling that way. I'm a little lost because we have so much of the same roster that we had last year, except we lost Breeland. We gained Jaron Reed. We lost Taco, which we didn't really get him. We brought Okafor back. I just don't understand how there could be an entire collapse. I didn't expect this defense to take a bunch of steps backwards. And it's early, so we'll see what happens. But I'm a little confused at how it's just not awake yet, is what it seems like. The other interesting thing to point out here with the Chargers as they come to town, they are right now the most penalized team in football. They had 12 penalties in Week 2 against the Cowboys. Two of those penalties were holding calls on their center, Lindsley. They've just brought him in my opinion, maybe he's a top 3 center in football, in my opinion. Coming from Green Bay, this guy is legit, but something's going on up there where he's not getting where he needs to be quick enough, and he is getting the yellow flag thrown on him for it. 12 penalties is a ton, so sloppy play really, really hurt them in Week 2. And we'll see if they tighten that up. The other thing that I think is interesting about what we were just talking about, our defensive line. Obviously, Week 1, Chris Jones gets a couple of sacks. Last week, we didn't do anything against Baltimore. But Herbert's been sacked 4 times so far this year. Week 1, he got hit from a defensive tackle and a defensive end. We know we can play at both of those positions. So we've got the guys that can get him from those spots. Week 2, he takes 2 sacks from guys that are really middle linebackers, Micah Parsons and Van Der Esch, but I know the Cowboys use them pretty fluidly and they kind of move around a lot. Maybe this is where you see Spags actually let Bolton go after Herbert. I'd be very interested to see not so much L'Jarius Sneed or Tyron making those moves, but let Bolton go get him and see what happens. We obviously have talent at all those positions that I think can go get Justin Herbert, which will absolutely be required to win this game. Matt, getting away from our defense for a second, is there anything about our offense that has you concerned? I know the box score has looked good with what Patrick's been able to do, but is there anything that has you worried? We've got the blinders on the defense right now. Is there anything about the offense that has you concerned?
Yeah, the running game. The fumble aside, Clyde hasn't fumbled since high school, so I don't think a fumbling is going to be a problem with him. But we still lack that closer on offense. When we're up a score, say we're up 7 to 10 points and we need just to run out the clock, we just don't have that guy who can continually get us first downs to help us ice the game. And that is a big concern, especially with our problems on defense.
You're absolutely right. If we can't get the opponent off the field, we're putting ourselves in these positions to have to move the chains through the air on 2nd and 3rd down. And, God, if we could just run the ball. But I do think it's coming. I think this line, we all know it needs time. We've seen it. We're going to see it progress a little bit, little by little each week. And I want to say, I'm sticking to what I've said all offseason. I think the line needs at least 8 to 9 weeks. And I'd like to see after the bye week, they really get to unplug for a second, come back, and be the line that we have wanted it to be, and then make our push for the playoffs. I absolutely think that it's all about, can we keep the damn wheels from falling off prior to that. These past 2 weeks for the Chargers, the Washington football team, 135 yards passing. Now, I get it. They got quarterback problems. They lose Fitzpatrick, all of that. And they ran for about 100 yards. And they did get the Chargers did record 1 sack in that Washington game. And then the Cowboys threw for 237, not a whole lot. They came away with a win. They ran for 237. They passed for 237, and they ran for about 200 collectively. So the Cowboys were way more efficient and more balanced and just successful. So Dak Prescott got sacked twice in that game. That I don't know how much of a concern that is. Well, it is a concern because our line isn't even allowed to speak to the Dallas offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Not yet, at least. Not yet. That offensive line, even without Lyle Collins this past week, they got Zach Martin back. They've got dogs on that line, and they just know how to they know what they're doing up front. They have for a very long time. And they gave up 2 sacks. So, be interesting to see what this line's able to do. You got Bosa on the edge. That's the real main threat, and we'll see what they've got. Athletes all over that defense. It's just a shocker to me every year that the Chargers can't win more games because they always have the names that you want. They at least have the names on that defense. They just can't seem to get it put together. But seems like that could be changing. We will see. So for me, as far as winning this game, we can't expect this defense to just turn over and be completely different. But it does have to get more physical up front. And Chris Jones, put this man where he can succeed, for the love of God. I think it should be situational when he's outside. But he is a defensive tackle. And if you want to shift him, pre-snap, things like that, try to throw them off, go in passing downs, send him after the quarterback. But just to have him out there all goddamn night this past weekend, God, I don't want to keep going back to it, but Jesus, it was frustrating. I really hope that doesn't happen. You can get Justin Herbert. He's going to stick in that pocket. I think you get that push-up, right up the gut on him, make him step to the side, make him step into Frank Clark or Dana or Okafor or whoever. Give that defense a chance. You can't let Herbert sit back there. He will pick us apart. Yeah. He will pick us apart. I'm not about to sit here and think that L'Jarius Sneed and Charvarius Ward and Tyron, whoever, is good enough to hang with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen if Justin Herbert has all damn day. So that has to happen. Something that I am looking forward to, I want to get a player prediction from you. I'm going to tell you mine. What I spoke about in the recap earlier this week of Week 2 is the reason Daniel Sorensen, in my opinion, and we'll see if I'm somewhat close to being right this weekend, the reason Dan Sorensen is out-snapping Juan Thornhill right now is because the type of opponent we've been playing. Dan Sorensen led the team in tackles last year, and he was third in tackles this past week. It's two running teams. You got to be up there on the line, in the box, stopping the run. And Juan Thornhill is, he isn't a hammer. He is a ball hawk. That's what he does. This is the game that Juan Thornhill will outsnap Dan Sorensen, and I think he does get one pick. And I think Chris Jones gets home to Herbert at least once. Those are my player predictions. They both just so happen to be on the defensive side of the ball. Matt, is there any shot you want to take from any player on this team, something good or bad, that this team might do Sunday at noon?
Like you, I like Chris Jones. I think he gets another 2 sacks, but I think he gets them both from the outside. And then I like Byron Pringle, man, to take a step as establishing himself as wide receiver 2 this week. I think he gets another touchdown. I think he has at least 70 yards receiving.
Oh, my God. I want to be a Byron guy. I really do. But the dude's damn near 30, so I'm not going to waste my time being a Byron guy because he's not going to be here that long. This is probably it for him. This is the last year on that contract. If I'm not crazy, I'm pretty sure. Not going to waste my time even looking. He's $2 million on the books this year, so I know that was we backload everything, even the players that don't get paid. Whatever. I think he's going to have more success with Pringles, the chips. If you haven't seen the Byron Pringles stack, I don't know what cat factory this is. Since when did they start pitching us to go buy 3 different flavors of full Pringle cans and then mix them up? I don't remember this being a thing. But anyway,
man, Pringle stacks. It's Pringle stacks, dude.
Anyways, so Matt's got Byron Pringle making a play, and maybe distancing himself from Demarcus Robinson, and maybe McCole Hardman. Those are the 3 guys in the mix for this 2 spots. McCole is going to be given the most opportunities just because of the cost it took for us to acquire him with a 2nd-round pick, and running out of time on this dude. They got to make a decision. He is still so young. That's going to bode well for him. So, yeah, we will definitely keep an eye on, see what Byron Pringle comes away with. All right, guys. Well, that is it for our preview going into Week 3. Before we get out of here, we will give final predictions here. Matt, who do you got, Chiefs and Chargers, and a score for this weekend?
I have Chiefs 41-28. I think we pull away in the fourth quarter. I think it's close probably for about 3 quarters, but we pull away in the fourth.
41-28. You know, as much as I hate to say it, and I'm getting too old to deal with this shit anymore, this game screams overtime to me. And I do think the Chiefs come away with a win, but I'm looking at something a lot closer, and I think this could be a field goal type of game where you're looking at, 34-31. 34-31 Chiefs is what I've got, and I've got them doing it in overtime. Only because, and that's not slighting the Chiefs at all. I'm not down on the Chiefs, but I've got the Chargers stock. Just, it's going to steadily be on the rise permanently. I mean, unless this quarterback takes a huge dive, just like us. You know what? If you were to tell me the entire damn defense can't show up Sunday, I don't give a shit. Because Patrick is the driver of us winning games. Everything else only makes it more difficult for him. That's it. But we still have a shot. As long as 15 is on the field, we have a chance at anything. And the Chargers are going to be feeling the exact same way about Herbert going forward, and as they rightfully should. Then, as you know, we've been bringing on a guest for this Enemy Lines segment these past 2 weeks. Reached out to several so-called Chargers podcasts. I know that we're small fish. No one wanted to respond. I didn't have that problem with our boy Rod and Engraven with our Cleveland and Baltimore podcast. Those guys right away on it, professionals. Nothing but shit in Los Angeles, and that's no surprise. It's been that way for years. So, Matt, I will ask you what I would ask them. Give me your way too early Super Bowl prediction.
You got to go with Chiefs Bucks, I think. I don't think anybody else is touching the Bucks in the NFC. Then, of course, my Chiefs.
So, I think you're right. I kind of think you're right about the Bucks. I'm with you on the Chiefs. I still don't think the AFC, when it comes down to it, there's anyone on this day that can handle us. That could very well change. But perfect time that you gave that answer, because this weekend at 3:30, we get to see Matt Stafford and them boys go take on Tampa Bay, and I think the Rams whoop the shit out of them. And then I think it's over. Then I think the book is shut on Tampa. They will be that number 2 contending team because Green Bay's not going to be in it. We'll see what Seattle does. I'm probably just disrespecting the shit out of some other NFC team, but I can't think of anyone that concerns me too much in there. But I think the Rams are as legit as it gets, and I think they beat Tampa Bay this week, and then everyone will have a different taste in their mouth because Brady's going to get held up in that pocket. He's going to be getting rid of the ball real quick, and it's not going to look like it has. And everyone's going to go back to talking about he's old. Everyone likes to do that as soon as he has a bad game. And I'm not saying that he's shit. I just say pass rush is everything in this league. And the Rams have a defensive tackle that can do it from inside and outside, and he's proven all of that. We don't have that. We like to pretend we do. But anyways, I'm not going down there either. And here's a little oddball final question for you. In your opinion, since I would, usually be asking this to a Chargers fan, and we have our history with the Chargers, so we know this team very well. Who's the greatest Charger of all time, in your opinion?
Oh, LaDainian Tomlinson, for sure.
Yeah, I was going to go. Probably LT. There's probably some guys way back in the day. I know Junior Seau's a big, he's a big name in that team's history. But, God, LT was just one of the greatest running backs to ever play, in my opinion. I mean, once you get through to me, Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders, those are always my guys. Buried 1, Emmitt 2. LaDainian's up there. But anyways, that will do it for Enemy Lines. We are getting out of here. I am Billy Truelove, and for Matt Bird and Justin Herrera, this is Podcast 1558. We will be getting that W this weekend. Go Chiefs.